All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are all set for our next panel discussion. The topic is a very interesting one. We are going to talk about functioning of KYC, registrations, agencies, achievements, and goal, where we got the best for you here at the panel for the session. Please join me as I invite on stage our moderator, Shri Bithin, Mahanta, General Manager, Securities and Exchange, Board of India, SEBI. Let's give a huge round of applause and welcome him up on stage. A very warm welcome to you. Pleasure having you here with us. Let's welcome our speakers on stage. We have Shri Manoj Kumar, Executive Director, Securities and Exchange, Board of India, SEBI. A round of applause, please. We have Mr. Abhishek Mishra, Chief Risk Officer, Computer Age Management Services, to join us on stage. We have Mr. Praveen Shankaran, Chief Operating Officer, Domestic Funds Service, KFin Technologies Limited. A very good afternoon to you. We have Mr. Vijay Gupta, Executive Vice President, NSDL, Database Management Limited. Come on, yes, we can. Final day of Global Fintech Fest. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, my next speaker for this panelist, we have Mr. Prabhakar Tiwari, Chief Growth Officer, Angel One Limited. A very good evening to you, sir. I guess we are almost crossed 3. Pleasure having you all here with us. Looking forward for the session. I'm taking my notes backstage. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Do you have a clock somewhere? Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Bithin Mahanta from SEBI. So before we begin the session, we have Mr. Manoj Kumar, Executive Director, SEBI. So I would request sir to make a few introductory remarks.
Good evening and thank you, Bithin sir. When I was asked to come for this session, I was little confused because KYC, as you know, is a very tough subject for us as a regulator and probably for all of you who are user of this KYC because many of us struggle that what is happening every day, KYC is changing. I am here to give you a perspective and expert panel which is sitting here, they know operational challenges and issues and they will be better positioned to articulate. But let me give you the broader perspective that from a market perspective and from regulatory perspective why KYC is so important. As you are aware that KYC is the first point where you start interacting with the market. If you want to do any transaction in the market, any intermediary will ask you to do KYC. And from that perspective, it is very important that all of us should be fully aware that this is one of the essential requirements before we start doing any business in the securities market. And from customer perspective, the most important aspect for KYC is that it should be always updated and it should be accurate. And why it is so? Because if it is not updated and accurate, then you will have large number of issues in terms of your further investment or whatever you have invested, how it has to be redeemed or getting liquidated. Because if correct information is not available with the system, then definitely there is a problem. Second aspect, why from a regulatory perspective it is more important. Besides knowing that who is investing in the market, we do lot of risk management as far as market is concerned. And that risk management is usually facilitated by the KYC. If you are doing a correct KYC, KYC remains updated at all times. It helps us in ensuring from a regulatory perspective that how we have to fine-tune our policies surrounding the risk management. And that's why these two are the core and critical aspects for KYC. And once we comply this, then there is a seamless functioning in the market. So all of us should be aware that from that perspective, we have to see KYC. And the experts who are sitting, everybody has done a fantastic job because today you may find that some ifs and buts are there in KYC, but it is very seamless. You do KYC at one intermediary and it is interoperable and it is available across the industry and it can be used. I am not denying that recent past there are certain hiccups, etc. But the friends who are sitting here, when they will take you through their journey, then you will be really impressed at how much work they have done. And in this context, let me tell you that we are one of the first globally acclaimed regulator or the jurisdiction where KYC is completely interoperable and seamless. And this is very proud achievement as far as our jurisdiction is concerned. And we should all be very appreciative about this. Having said all this, now when my colleague Bithin will take over, they will take you to the finer nuances of this KYC, which are very important for appreciation perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So as you mentioned, like the starting point to appreciate the functioning of KRAs is to understand KYC. And why KYC is important, at the risk of repeating what you said, is that one needs to identify the customer, the investor, and the nature and purpose for which he is establishing the relationship, account-based relationship with the intermediary. So that is very important because it helps to eliminate to a large extent illegitimate transactions. So we know that the transactions are genuine and true in nature. And that is how, as sir said, that we can, the intermediaries, the regulator can manage risk. So let me tell you before some facts about the pre-KRA era and the post-KRA era. So in the pre-KRA era, what used to happen is, at the cost of repetition and difficulties, an investor had to do KYC multiple times with each account that he opened with the intermediaries or each relationship that he wanted to establish. So a thought was given about the whole process to uniformly standardize the KYC and to make it seamless across intermediaries. So that is how the concept of KRAs came into being. There was a working group in 2011 which led to the establishment, which deliberated and that led to the establishment of KRAs. And from that time onwards, KRAs have progressed and moved much ahead. So, which is also validated by the fact that in the last 2 years, say from 22 to 24, we have moved from 7 crores to 11 crores, which is a huge number. That is records, KYC records, and these are unique ones that I speak of. So, and with the increase and the manifold growth in the number of KYC records and the investors, there's also need for risk management, as sir mentioned. And towards that, in the last few years, you would have seen, we have also laid out a risk management framework where the KYC records are validated. Why validation? Is because we want to make it more robust and we want to eliminate any kind of wrongdoing or any kind of falsification. So towards that end, SEBI had stipulated that we validate the identity, the address, and the email and mobile, which are important attributes of the KYC. So having said that, now I will move over to one of the KRAs, Mr. Vijay Gupta. So he will tell you about, Mr. Vijay, you would like to speak about how KYCs have streamlined the KYC process and fostered compliance, and what are the changes across, like, during the period from when you were set up and till date. So we may like to take our audience through that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So as sir said, that KYCs have been around for so many years. The KRAs have been around for so many years. And all these years, the KRAs were verifying the KYC records. So you collect the officially valid documents, passport, Aadhaar card, various documents you collect, and these were getting verified. But in the last 2-3 years, the KYCs have become more digital, the KYC have become more data-oriented, and have become more connected. So you have online KYC coming up. Again, thanks to SEBI, with the 2020 circular, the online KYC has been approved. And with this online KYC, the KYC itself has progressed. Now people do KYC largely based on DigiLocker, Aadhaar-based KUA, KYC user agency, which all of us, of course, want to promote more and more participation and usage in the system. Then you have e-sign-based validation of the investors happening, bank account verification, all of these things are happening. So more and more of physical touch points, connect points, the paper documentation and collection has been reduced and removed to that extent. Now in the similar fashion, the KYC registration agency, which is a central point where this information comes in, has also progressed and moved. So now the KYC registration agency does not only validate the KYC data with the officially valid document, but it actually goes and knocks the door of the issuing authority. So in this case, UIDI or DigiLocker, through which it is accessed, and verifies the data actually what is recorded in the system of the concerned authority, issuing authority. It performs an independent validation on the email ID, mobile number of the person. It performs an income tax database validation in terms of the PAN Aadhaar seeding, the name of the person, the residential status of the person. So having done all these validations independently, directly, in one sense, it is ensuring that the data is absolutely perfect and it is reusable. You can make reuse of it and make the journey easier, much more easier for the investor for further times to come. That is one. The regulatory consistency, uniformity, and standardization of procedures is ensured. So there is no situation that there is an arbitrage between different intermediaries, different investors, different channels of communication, different models of engagement and service delivery. In all the models, the KYC is done in a perfect manner that is validated by the KRA system and that is made usable. So that is a broader objective over there. So to that extent, the KYCs have moved a lot. And as sir also talked about the volumes, the volume of KYC, new investors participating in the markets, the KYC is getting downloaded, updated and modified over there. It has seen a tremendous traction over there. So to support that traction also, the KRAs have evolved a lot in terms of operating. So now you have systems which are built on digital extraction of data, digital verification of signed documents, optical character recognition for reading the documents and using these technologies to meet the verification norms. In fact, earlier the KYC registration agencies were verifying the documents within 10 days turnaround time. Now with all these changes happening and with the huge increase in the volume also happening, now the turnaround time is two days. And we are very happy to say that almost in all cases we are able to achieve that turnaround time. And while we did it for the new cases onwards, from 22 onwards, we did it for all the new cases, must get validated, must follow new process, must be source verified and all of that. But we also did it for all the old cases also. So whatever 8 crore cases were there in the KRA system before the new system came into the picture. So we went back to those records also and verified those records also. So today we have done a huge churning of all the KYC records which are maintained in the KRA system. They are validated, verified. And in that sense, their grading has been given. So if a record is there where we are able to perform a source validation, we have marked it validated. And where we could not perform a source validation, some lack is there, we mark it registered. And there also we give a facility to the investor to come and visit the KRA website and perform an updation of that KYC record in terms of getting it validated. So more and more such updation is happening and the KYC is becoming more and more perfect.
Now that we have heard from one of the KRAs, so this is the KRA side of the experience. So we would also like to hear from Mr. Abhishek Mishra about the mutual fund side of it. You must have seen the huge manifold growth in the AUM and the folios, mutual fund folios. So Abhishek, how has been your experience? You can just give us some.
Sure, thanks Bithin sir. So good afternoon everyone. As he said, I'll talk about how KRA has enabled the mutual fund ecosystem. And before I give you some numbers, please keep a couple of things in mind. The MF ecosystem is designed to cater to people of all type of habits. Somebody who wants to write a check, doesn't want to go to the keyboard, versus someone who says, I will invest only this one click, not even 5 or 10 clicks. So for such an ecosystem to deliver, right, one, you need a good onboarding point which is provided by KRA, and secondly, you need to keep all these ecosystem players in check, which SEBI does, and kudos to them for that. Now, the second part is, it is one of the very rare products where you can get introduced as a, let's say you get your KYC done and also put a transaction, right, at the same time. In most other places, you will have the introduction done and maybe a few days later, you will be able to do a transaction or maybe do a deposit or whatever have you. Now, why is this possible? Because of KRAs. And what has it done, these two things? I think the last month we closed at 64 trillion rupees, right, or lakh crores. It was nearly 40% more than what it was exactly a year ago, right? Huge, and both the percentage as well as the numbers are astounding, right? And this is going to grow. Right now we are at about 18-20% of the GDP. mature economies would be at about 80%, 70%, 80%. So huge headroom, but without a good onboarding system, we would not go there. The second one is, why is it growing? Because maybe new folios, which is a surrogate of new people coming in, and the SIPs. New folios, we, I think, clocked 6 million sort of new folios very recently. And last financial year, we were at about 35, 37 million new folios, which is again a 60% increase of previous year. Same case with SIPs. I think last month we had 7 million SIPs. And if you compare it with the year ago, it would be sort of like 60 or 70% growth. So I would say the KRAs have been there because of the reliability and the scalability that they bring to the table. And MF ecosystem owes a lot to the KRAs we have here. We don't have much fraud, and that's a different reason why we'll talk about it. But the reliability that they bring to the table in terms of so many ecosystem players contributing to your KYC, making sure any updates that you do, it gets captured, and then obviously we have rules as to how to validate those. But thanks to them. Back to you, Bithin, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. So we heard the mutual fund side of the story. So similar to mutual funds, you must have also read in the newspapers, demat accounts have also grown manifold, and so has India moved to the 4th position in terms of market capitalization to GDP ratio. So we have Mr. Prabhakar Tiwari from Angel One. So, and they are a digital, majorly digital platform. So we would also like to hear from Mr. Prabhakar Tiwari, how easy has it been the journey for you in vis-a-vis the KRA system in India?
Thank you, Bithin. Good afternoon, everyone. I think KRAs, we heard, like it's like a game changer from very, very early stage. And thankfully, it's not just a one-time phenomena. I mean, we are thankful to the regulator that they have been coming out with a lot of innovations here, allowing a lot of things, within the framework of risk management, which is helping a business like ours. Opening a demat account and trading account is a Herculean task. A lot of paperwork involved in that. Imagine if that is possible with a simple journey, which can finish in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I mean, that's an awesome thing to happen. And that's exactly what is happening, because KRAs have all the validated data available with them, which are accessible to us with the help of APIs and a lot of other journey features. And that's the reason why we have been able to scale so much as a retail broking business. I mean, I have seen this business for last 5.5 years, 10,000 account opening per month to now 1 million plus account opening per month. I mean, that's the kind of journey we have seen. And the journeys have become, frictionless, more safe, more secure. And it is not just for the benefit of the business and the regulator. Even for the customer, if some intermediary tries to access your data in the KRA, you get informed. I mean, that gives you a lot of trust that your data is in safe hands. So I believe, someone was saying that old problems give new solutions, and new solutions make the paradigm of a newer problems. So this is an ongoing journey, and as we scale, KRAs and will continue to make the KYC journey more smooth and safe.
Thank you, Prabhakar. So we have Mr. Praveen Shankaran also from Fintech. So Praveen, if you can tell us whether this KRA model in the securities market can be replicated across financial sectors. What is the scope for harmonization of such a model across financial sectors?
Thanks, Bithin. This is very interesting. I think harmonizing KYC process is a need of the hour. I believe that this is a very much achievable target, and we have already, taken a lot of stride towards it. You call it whether, using the Aadhaar data, the central KYC records. These are some of the steps that has already been taken towards harmonizing the entire KYC process. Now, there are a lot of benefits if we see, if there is a unified KYC platform or a unified KYC process. It will bring a lot of efficiencies in terms of, removing a lot of redundancy in the KYC process across sectors. It will pass on, the benefit will be passed on to all the financial institutions, the investors, because the cost obviously will be optimized. So harmonization of KYC process is a need of the hour, but it also has some challenges, I believe, because of, there are a lot of sectoral differences. Maybe one sector's KYC requirements are slightly different than the other sector's KYC requirements. There are different technologies being used, so the tech integration could be a challenge. But having said that, it is still an achievable target. I think we have taken enough steps towards it, and if we put a very careful consideration of the sectoral differences, the technological integration challenges, I think this can be definitely achieved.
Thank you, Praveen. So we heard about the functioning of KRAs, how KRAs have helped in the manifold growth of the securities market, the investors, etc. So, and this is based on technology. So wherever we talk about technology, I think we need to also understand or know what are the safeguards that have been put in place in terms of cyber security, information technology, etc. So, Mr. Vijay, I would like you to just give our audience a perspective on what is the cyber security and how do we safeguard the consumer data.
Sure. So I would put it in two buckets. So first is that it's a regulated entity which is performing the KYC registration agency. And typically large institutional entities having experience and capabilities in handling information systems and data privacy with good practices are only brought about to provide services as a KYC registration agency. Secondly, the access itself to the information is allowed only to the SEBI registered intermediaries, that too on the consent of the concerned investor, the data owner to whom the data belongs. And whenever there is an access to the data, there is a download or a modification or any information is happening, so the investor is kept informed that such and such access has been happened, and so if there is any breach, the investor would also come to know. So that is an operational part of it. Now from a technology standpoint, SEBI has come out with a very comprehensive cyber security and information security guidelines, which is applied to the KRA system. It includes things like data encryption, data at rest and in motion is encrypted over there. It includes certain and paneled auditors, verification of the system security. It includes complete segregation of the network and infrastructure from your parent company and other entities over there. And best of the implementation of the cyber security measures which are available from a technology standpoint, all of them are included, which includes vulnerability, VAPT testing, certifications, ISO 27001. So all of these measures have been put in place. And it's a testimony that over the period of last 12, 13 years of working of the KRA system, there has not been a breach of the data information security at any of the KRAs.
Mr. Vijay, so in the interest of time, so now if we can hear from all of you, like you can speak a few words on where do you see KRAs or where do you see the KRA system in India in the next 5 years or the next 10 years? Where would you like to see it and where do you think it is progressing to? So we can start with Abhishek.
Sure. Yeah, so I think KRA or KYC is a building block to any ecosystem, and for any ecosystem to grow, it has to be fraud-free, both for the investor and for the ecosystem, and it has to have fewer risks. So KRA is, I think, one of the starting blocks. As I see, I think it would enable other constituents to offer newer solutions. For example, with KRA, you are already seeing account aggregator coming into picture, right? So you know who Abhishek Mishra is, then account aggregator, when Abhishek Mishra gives consent, can tell someone that, okay, I have these assets across these 18, 20 classes, right? So that would be the second. The third one would be on top, once you have it digitally, then you will have a lot of analytics, a lot of AI that can go into this picture, right? So again, it would all be digital. So all this would be digital in the matter of few minutes. Now, as I said, fraud can be on two parts. One is on the investor, right? And for that, you need to have contactability, which we are doing now, what Manoj sir talked about, right? All this validation, registration. And the second one is fraud on the system. So once I have this, then I will also do anti-money laundering checks. Now these can only be done if you have demographics of that person, if you have transaction history of that person, and very importantly, you can run it across various proscribed lists, right across the world, including India. So these four can combine to give you a result for a bona fide investor in, let's say, MSME sector, all those sectors which are sort of difficult to breach right now for a variety of reasons. And then the downstream could be humongous, right? Once you start getting all this at a click of a button, then there would be huge number of avenues that one can go into. Some product that we don't envisage now can be done maybe 5, 6, 7 years down from the road. It would be person-specific products, time-specific products, and geolocation-specific products that it would enable. So that's my 2 cents on it.
See, if I can go on next, while KRAs have made great strides, there are 3-4 areas where I think, we can be more futuristic or take care of the current challenges. So first is, of course, use of biometrics or AI-enabled identity validation could actually smoothen and kind of, shorten the process. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, while this entire system is dependent on the customer updating their latest information, so there has to be methodology, process-driven methodology to prompt users to update their data on a regular basis that is required. Point number 3, while it's true there is an interoperability between KRA institutions, but this can further improve, and the SLA's variability could be reduced, which can make the process much smoother for the customers and for the business. And the 4th thing is that currently in the journey, at least for the Demat account opening journey itself, there are duplicate processes, between the KRAs and the companies. For example, we also validate email IDs and mobile numbers with OTPs. So if KRAs can provide, move towards more API-based systems, some of these duplicate process could be reduced, which will not only, shorten and smoothen the process, but will also be more less troublesome for the customers and will help the business.
Thank you.
Right. So before what should be the next in the line for KRAs, I would take a minute to appreciate, because I've been a consumer of KRA services from quite long. I've seen a lot of changes, and I believe that KRAs have been a front runner in terms of adopting technologies, creating APIs to make life easier for all the intermediaries using their services. You call it e-KYC, which is a completely paperless experience for everyone. In minutes you can open, your account, or using the, DigiLocker for the document verification. So they have been a forefront run-up in terms of adopting technologies. I would definitely agree that interoperability has to slightly improve. I also believe that, while we are talking a lot in terms of how the investors within India are being serviced so easily using APIs or using digital solution, I believe a cross-border KYC solution, which is a completely paperless experience for NRI, should be the next in target from a KYC perspective. So I think that is definitely should be a goal, and a unified platform, as I said, harmonizing KYC process across sectors. KRAs can play that role, and definitely all sectors should come together and have one KYC to remove the redundancy and make it much easier and convenient for the investors.
Thank you. Mr. Vijay.
So our regulator is sitting here, they're listening to this, and lots of things what you have spoken, rightly spoken over there. There actually some of the other work is happening on those things is what I can say. And I think, so KYC, digital KYC is now a done thing. We are moving on to risk management, risk grading, re-KYC, those kind of things is what we are progressing on to. And now KRA is becoming more and more frontal and focal to the investor. Earlier it was more of a back end to the service of intermediaries. Now it is also becoming more and more frontal to the investor. So that in that sense, KRA reaching out to the investors and getting them to help the updation of the records and bringing it back to the users and doing more things like FETCA and CRS reporting over there, in terms of CKYC integration, in terms of demise notification and alert system. So now it is becoming more of a KYC plus. Now KYC plus, what more can be there? And of course, the KRA regulations provide and support for inter-regulatory usage also. So as and when we can achieve this harmonization, then we can use the system for other expansion also.
Thank you, Mr.
So Bithin Sahab asked that what is the roadmap of 10 years down the line. From a regulatory perspective, while I endorse what my colleagues have said here, because actually they take forward the journey. But our expectation is that KYC should be so simple, it should be just like e-commerce. Today, whatever you want to do in e-commerce, you just onboard, just enter your mobile number, enter your credentials, and the goods is getting transferred to you. So we envisage a scenario where KYC is so seamless, anybody can just come on any platform which is vetted and validated by a regulatory process and do the KYC, and you invest in the market. At the same point of time, you redeem from the market. So we look forward to that, and we are quite hopeful that all these colleagues who have helped us so far in this regulatory journey, they will come forward, and there can't be a better arena and the better platform than this global fintech, where we can conceptualize something similar to that, and probably that day will, when we achieve this target, hopefully we will reach the entire country. Today we are not able to reach the entire country. Probably with this we may be able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for the contributions. So we heard about how what has been the KRA journey, what has been the expectation from intermediaries, and how we want to take it forward. Fortunately, we have some 6 minutes left for question answers. If any of you would like to. Yes, please.
Hi. Thanks, Manoj. I was listening to you very attentively, because your vision of having a e-commerce driven kind of a onboarding platform or KYC platform, for example, mobile number verification, which can happen silently. So all those, I think, user journey, I think, interventions, which we are also presenting to exchanges and regulators also, along with Abhishek, you clearly mentioned. So I'm very curious to know how long is in the roadmap regarding the account aggregator-based KYC onboarding, which can be done on 2 clicks or 2 OTPs, and it will be very seamless for the users.
It's in the works, so it's not as if I was theorizing for something like 4 or 5 years. It's in the works, and those 4 steps I said, they are getting done right now. So we should be hitting the market anytime soon.
Hi. So any of the panelists can answer this question. So we hear of debit account frauds which happen, like somebody's pushed a link and the account gets debited. So can similar kind of frauds happen on the KYC modification or any other thing that the customer is pushed, or like especially there are so many people who are illiterate or not very digi-savvy, that a link is pushed and then their KYC is fraudulently modified, or the portfolio gets debited. Like, so what would be the resolution for that? Or, it's just a layperson query, but this sounds very real. It can happen, and especially when you're talking that the KYC can be used across different financial sectors. So it would be even more difficult for that particular person to find a resolution in that scenario. So any comments?
I'll take it. So what you say is not can happen, it happens, right? And as Bithin sir mentioned, there's a KRA risk management framework that we are introducing. And as part of that, we had this KYC registration, KYC validation on hold. This concept which caused a lot of consternation in the market, right? But please understand that if I, as a conscientious player in the market, want to reach out to you and say, look, there are regulations, look, there's some change that has happened on your KYC. How do I do that if I don't have a valid email ID or a mobile number, or I don't even have your address, right? These are basics. And I'll tell you one thing, that if you have this and watch your account, then very, very low chance that somebody can take over your account, at least in the securities market. Because anything that happens, you know, we send out emails, we send out your SMSs, we even send out physical letters. We just are not blind saying that technology is a panacea for everything. We send out physical letters, and that has also worked. The challenge is, people just mindlessly invest, and at least in prior years, they would not give their phone numbers or email IDs, and sometimes for actually, deliberately it was done so, right? So nowadays, and there's a lot of algorithms which detect your face versus who is doing it, what is there in the records. So if you are just a bit mindful, and so I think, ma'am, the thing is, a lot of these frauds happen because somebody misuses the trust of a bona fide investor, right? If somebody just picks up the checkbook, creates another open account in the same name, takes your documents and all that, that's where the challenge is. But in terms of you being an aware customer, I think we are in good shape. Maybe some others will have an alternate view, but that's what I feel.
I think here, if I may like to add, the concept of which Manoj sir mentioned, the updation of your contact details is very important so that somebody is not able to misuse your account. So if your contact details, email ID, etc. Verified and latest, so I don't think there's a chance of that happening.
Before you raise a further question, straightforward answer I am giving now you regulatory perspective and just adding to what Bithin said. Frauds are bound to happen. They can be prevented. Answer is yes. How they can be prevented? If investor is aware, investor is active, if lot of communication goes, if there is any change in your account, immediately if your mobile number and email are updated, you will get a message. But what happens is, many of the times, we are not responding, we are not attentive to those messages. If you are not attentive, then it may happen that somebody may hack your system and anything can happen. So in a fintech world, these things are possible, this happens. But thankfully, in the securities market environment, these type of incidents are very negligible. So we are fortunate from that perspective, but that doesn't mean that we are not attentive, we are fine-tuned, and that's why we keep on telling everybody that please don't listen to other things, only listen to valid people, valid intermediaries, and of course the valid regulator.
Thank you, sir. I think we have exhausted our time. Thank you, everybody, for giving a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.